Oh,
Hey, can you make my intro video? That was awesome.
hi, Brandon Brittingham.
What's up?
You're one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, and I am so honored you're here.
You're now my favorite after watching your highlight reel.
It just then I became your
Yeah,
favorite. I knew
yeah,
it. So imagine if you had traveled all those places together with us with little Madison, your dog.
I know, right?
Oh, so fun. Well, yeah, we'll make your highlight video for you because you actually are way more interesting than me
If you say so.
and younger. All right, friends, listen, this is Brandon Brittingham. I have no script because we're not going to need one. He is going to lay out all the fabulous things that he is and that he does. I will give you a small intro first by just saying that you are the number one team in the state of Maryland and the number 5 team in all of America, according to Real Trends, which is an incredible honor, just came out a few months ago. And so you do big business. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you today about how you do such big business and you actually lead a very full life in addition to real estate. So welcome. I want you to tell about yourself and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so while you kind of talked about it, I run a team here in the state of Maryland. We're close to the Delaware border, so we're the Maryland and Delaware group of Law and Foster, and we've been very fortunate to be named number one in the state. That's where we're headquartered, and number 5 in the country, and it's been pretty cool. It's been a cool journey, been a cool ride.
Yeah. You own properties. I know that a lot of properties. You
Yep.
also have a property management company. So, in addition to all of the buying and selling that you help your customers with, you have this whole other business. You also have different businesses. What else? What other businesses can you tell us about? And I want to know how you do all of that and stay sane.
Um, well, staying sane is relative, I guess, when you do as much stuff as we do. But no, I think so. I think part of all of it is a couple of years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we just really tried to figure out, how do we create a better experience for the client? And, so that's why we started to get in different businesses, property management, because that's a big piece of the real estate business is working with investors. People want to go in rentals, things of that nature. And then naturally we got into, mortgage, title, insurance. We also do like renovations for people. I have a home building company. So pretty much we try to look at every kind of piece of the real estate transaction and how can we tackle that problem and make a better experience for the customer. And I think a big part of why our companies have grown is because we were able to figure out, how do we make everything easier for the consumer? And then naturally everything started to grow. It wasn't even like we didn't even look at some of these businesses like we want to make a ton of money. It was just like if we can control this and we can have the consumer have a better real estate experience, then it'll all work itself out. And it kind of did.
Well, I think it's really important because what do we always hear? The consumer can't find a contractor to get the house ready to go on the market. The consumer can't find an agency to help them find a good tenant. The consumer can't. The list goes on of things
Right.
that get in the way of a consumer doing great business. And so becoming that resource and that irreplaceable resource to me is so brilliant. And it's certainly something that I aspire to model some of my businesses after you because I think that that is crucial because the consumer wants to work with whoever makes it easiest. Am I right?
100%. And I mean, if you look at the way everything is going, speed, the Ubers, the Amazons of the world, Apple, having an ecosystem of products like that, this is where the consumer is going. The consumer wants to go to the path of least resistance and they want to go where someone can solve all their problems. And real estate as a whole has kind of been behind the trend on that, where there's so many different parts of the transaction that have been siloed for so many years. And it's free. I mean, buying and selling a house in today's time for somebody is stressful. So I just kind of saw that the consumer more and more was going to move to demanding that. And we just got ahead of it.
Mm. So it started with you selling real estate. I know you do full production still. I saw on your Facebook the other day you were going on 5 or 6 appointments in one day, listing appointments. Do you sell mostly listings? Do you work buyers? What's your split that way?
I'm almost 100% listings at this point. The only time I'm really working with buyers is if it's like a friend of family or the seller I'm working with is buying another house. I traditionally don't work with buyers anymore. Any potential buyers that, for the most part, I work with, if it's not friends or family or like a seller I'm working with, I hand off to my team.
Yeah. And you have a small team. You don't have a large mega team like the one I run. How many people are on your team? And then what kind of support staff what does that look like?
So we're about 25, and then we've probably got 5 or 6 admin.
Mhm.
And for anybody that's watching this that's in real estate, we're going to do well over 1,000 transactions this year as a team. And so I think a lot of people think you got to have a huge team to do a lot of transactions. You don't. If you get the right people, you can be small and mighty and still produce a ton.
Yeah, that's a ton for that volume of agents. And what would you say, let's just in leadership, you're in leadership, obviously you lead this team. What would you say is the most rewarding part of having that team and running this business? And what would you say is the hardest part of it?
So anytime I get a chance to say this, I got to say it. I think that in our business as a whole, if you are in real estate and you want to run a team or you want to scale to brokerage model or whatever, if you're anywhere where you're going to lead people, our business, I think, talks a lot about the shiny objects and this CRM and this lead source and this and that. And no one really talks about leadership enough. And I think that if you are going to build any type of business and you're going to scale, you have to really learn how to be a good leader. And I think that was one of the things that I really had to learn to scale my business. And there's not a ton of leadership training in our business. And there's just not a lot of people that talk about it. I don't care what kind of CRM, what kind of shiny objects you buy. If you suck as a leader, you're going to suck at growing. So I think for me, one thing that was big is I had to learn how to be a good leader and how to lead other people. I think then that has turned into obsession of being able to find something in somebody that they didn't know that they had, and then bringing that out of them and then watching their life completely change. I think the most rewarding thing in the world is that feeling. You can't put a price on that. No amount of sales or money can buy that. And that is such a cool thing for me. I've taken people who've come in to my environment and like were on food stamps and couldn't pay their bills. And I remember learning the money, to pay their mortgage that month. And a year later, they're making 6 figures, their cars are paid off, their kids are in private school, and now to a point where we have agents on our team that are on the path of actually building wealth, investing in real estate, financial independence. That's such a cool thing to me. And I think the thing that sucks in leadership sometimes is if you're a good leader, you want everybody to win, and you sometimes want people to win more than they want to win themselves. And sometimes the struggle is people have to find it themselves. You can lead them and you can create the environment, but ultimately it's someone's own personal responsibility. And I think that's the struggle for me sometimes is I want somebody to win so bad, but it takes them longer to get there than I want them to get there, if that makes sense.
Oh, this is gold, what you just said. I completely agree with all of that. It's not only can leadership be lonely because of that, and that's how people like you and I that don't live anywhere near each other become friends. But it's watching and having patience to watch someone walk through that process, no matter what kind of business you run. I was almost in tears this morning over someone that I want to see so badly succeed. And I am so vested in it, just like you are. And because you don't run a team or run a business just because you want to make a lot of money. That honestly is the counter opposite of what getting into leadership and running a business has to be. You can't even think about that. That's the byproduct of great business. But to me, it's focusing constantly on becoming a better version of yourself so that you attract that right type of person into your world.
100%.
Yeah. Dan Constantino says wanting someone to succeed more than they do is a huge issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think that's part of leadership and the growth in leadership that can come when you really say to yourself, what part did I play in this scenario, this whatever situation it is? and either making it right or saying, yeah, that I was solid in that, and that was the right thing to do. The continual growth journey in leadership.
Yeah, and again, I think the biggest thing with that is that, you're not like, leadership is not a skill you're really taught, right? You're not taught it in school, you're not taught it in college. Again, in our industry, there's not a ton of information out there that is on leadership. And leadership is all about interaction with other human beings and getting the best, out of them, and understanding empathy and understanding everybody is different. And I think that was probably one of the hardest things in my journey, was just coming to the conclusion that just because I work as hard as I do and I have so much passion for my business, that not everybody's going to see it the same, and not everybody's motivated by the same thing. So getting emotionally, underneath it with people to see what it is that they are motivated by and what it is that they do want out of life, and then start pressing on that button, help them get there, I think was one of the things that I had to learn really, really well, becoming a good leader, and learning patience and learning empathy. And you can't lead by walking in the room and headbutting people, which used to be a strategy I had. Didn't always work out.
Well, and I think understanding that, in leadership and in this business, not everybody's always going to stay. At some point, people will leave you, and that it's not a personal thing, that it really is, if when you stay in your core standards and true to yourself and true to your business, that's okay, because life changes. I talk about that a lot with our team, because it's upsetting if someone leaves. To the teammates, even more so than me. I'm used to it at this point, because I know people will come and go. Life changes, and that's okay.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your newest venture that you're doing. I want to hear about, because you are brilliant. This is not just for me to compliment you, but I'm going to. You are brilliant, and you always are looking ahead of how you can not only solve a problem for a consumer or a real estate agent, but you are going to make sure that you're contributing. So talk to us about your latest venture and what you are doing and what you're building, because I'm going to be a part of that, and so are so many others, and we want to talk about it today.
So, kind of, I've like been a consultant. I've, been a speaker. I've been a trainer, kind of behind the scenes for a lot of big teams, big brokerages, big agents, and just kind of did it, word of mouth and kind of, referral based. And one of the things that I saw, or, like going back to when I first was an agent, like, it's hard. I mean, it's really difficult when you come in the business. You're trying to learn a new skill. You're trying to learn, you're being taught contracts and all this other crazy stuff while you're trying to earn an income. Then it's like, take this training, read this book, do this, do that. And one of the things that really helped me was getting in the right rooms, getting in the right masterminds, getting the right mentors, things of that nature kind of helped me compress time and get better faster. So kind of one of the reasons why people like me and you start a team is because we want to teach other people how to compress time and do it faster. But then from a scale standpoint, how many people's lives can we affect? So one of the things that I decided to do a couple of months ago was, I thought there was something missing in the industry of giving people real tactical information, real world, of how to become a really good agent, how to run a really good team, how to grow your brokerage. So I created a mastermind online coaching community. So it was not just about the training. It's, I want to get people together like you, that is a contributor, that's really smart, that builds a great business. We all get together and we network with each other and we share ideas. And the collective genius of all of us is better than one of us. So on top of doing coaching, providing a bunch of training, I think long term, my vision is the real value is going to be, you have 200 of the smartest people in our industry all working with you to help you get better. And that's kind of the whole idea behind it and why I did it.
Yeah, I think it's It's needed. You know, I just did a women's event. We've talked about this. We talked about it on the phone the other day. I did a
Yeah.
women's event down on Jekyll Island, and I put it out there just to see would anyone even come. I didn't know. I mean, I'm not an events coordinator. I'm a team leader, but I love to entertain people. And so sure enough, 16 women showed up and it was the same thing. And I realized there is such a need for community and for support in this industry. It can be brutal. In fact, I was talking to Ryan Stuman the other day about real estate as a whole. And there's a reason that real estate agents sometimes don't have a great reputation because it's a really easy thing to get into. The test is kind of hard depending on what state you're in, but there's a pretty, 6, 8 weeks you can be licensed, and not everybody does it full time. Not everybody does it at the same level. And so unfortunately, the consumer, by and large, if they have one bad experience, they just by and large say that realtors aren't awesome, and I am committed to changing that. I know you are as well, and there's community that is needed is my point.
Yeah,
um,
and that's like a huge point that you just said. Was one of the other reasons why I wanted to do it was I want to make the industry better, because the consumer does think that we're all created the same. And buying and selling a house is a big deal. And for most people, it's emotional, right? You've
yeah,
had children, you've raised your kids in a house. And when you go to sell that house, there is a huge emotional connection to that. And one of the reasons why I created this group is because we've obviously scaled really large because we do a good job for the consumer. And I want to teach that to other people so that it gives our industry the ability to get better.
yeah. And it's possible. I think anything's possible. It starts with one person. It doesn't take a ton of people doing this. It starts with one, and you build a 200-person network, and all of a sudden, all these people in different places are people are saying, "Wow, I had such a great experience." That's something that's super important to me too, is that our consumer has a great experience. Otherwise, why do they need realtors, right? If you're going to have a messy transaction, just do it yourself, right? Because
Exactly.
a lot of people are pretty savvy, and we have this thing called the internet. So cool. Well, I'm excited about that. If you want to drop in the comments the name of that, if someone's interested in finding out about it, I think that would be great. And
Sure.
I want to hear about the other side of Brandon. I know it's all encompassing, but you have interests that I think are cool. You wear fancy shoes that I think are cool. What does Brandon do Friday night, 7 o'clock? Where will you find Brandon?
So, I mean, honestly, for me, a lot of when I'm not, working, I'm working on my business,
Yep.
because I'm just always consistently trying to get better. I do work out, I do go to the gym. Obviously, I travel. We've traveled together.
Yep.
I like to be part of masterminds where there's a lot of smart people in the room and I can learn.
Mhm.
I like to rescue dogs. I've got 8 dogs. You saw one of my dogs that's in here with me right now.
Madison.
So that's one cool thing I really enjoy is I think I'm going to go for 10. I mean, at this point, I got 8. I might as well go for 10, you
Like
know?
a dog person, really.
Yeah.
Is that legal where you live? There's a
Yeah.
limit where I live.
Yeah. No, no one gives me a hard time.
And you're a boater, right? We have that in common as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I bought a boat about 2 years ago, and everybody said that the day you buy a boat, you're going to either want to get rid of it or get a bigger one. So I just got a bigger one.
Well, and it's the saying. I grew up boating, and the saying is bet on another 1,000. But
Right.
you recently just sell the boat for what you did great. That resale market right now is fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's I sold my first boat for more than I paid for it, which is unheard of, and got another one.
Well, I want to come up there and do that. Go boating.
Yeah.
Can I drive?
That scares me a little bit.
Serious? Come on. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that scares me a little bit.
If you were to leave us with one thing that you think, because I mean, there's so many fascinating things about you. The property management blows my mind. So many things blow my mind about the scale of your business. I'm obviously in awe of what you do. What if you could leave us with one piece of advice for maybe somebody that wants to scale like you are and wants to succeed like you do? What would it be?
So here's the thing, right? I think that everyone puts limitations on themselves, and we have a false limitation based on what? It's whatever story that you told yourself, right? So let's take the example you just named, the boat. So I never owned a boat before, right? And it
Mhm.
was like, well, how are you gonna figure out how to drive a boat and all this stuff, and all this fear goes through your mind. And it's like, how difficult can it be to drive a boat or figure it out, right? So I think that the limitations we put on ourselves and the limitations that we live in and the confines of the limitations that we live in are based on stories that we've been told that aren't necessarily true, or it's stuff that we put in our head that we convince ourselves of, right? So it's kind of like people have said to me before, I don't know how you do what you do. How is it even possible? For me, I look at it as, man, I can do so much more. And so when I named our team the Maryland Group of Law and Foster, my intention then was to be number one in the state. Well, I named it the Maryland Group of Law and Foster way before we were number one. So our actions and our behavior had to come way before what we really are. And I think that the struggle that a lot of people have is that they put this limitation on theirself based on whatever fear or story or whatever they've told theirself, which is not really even true. It's not reality. And I think that that's the world that a lot of people live in. And, I just don't think people should live that way. Don't put a limitation on yourself. Don't have fear of, stuff that doesn't even exist or you've never even experienced it. We were just in Cabo a month ago, and Sean Whalen told this story that really stuck with me. And he said, for years, I was scared to death of snakes. And then I got a pet snake and I absolutely love it. And he's like, when I started thinking about buying a snake, and I said, why am I scared of snakes? And the snakes never bit me, never attacked me, never anything. But that's what we've been convinced. Everybody said you should be scared of a snake. Now, obviously, if you're in a jungle and you see a poisonous snake, you probably shouldn't pick it up and pet it. But in the context of what he was saying was, what is the limitation we put on ourselves? It's like I was just in Cabo a month and a half ago, and we flew on a G450. 5 years ago, if you would have ever said you're going to fly on a G450, I may not have believed you.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I just try not to live within a limitation. Instead of like asking why, I live by the parameter of why not.
Mhm.
I look at everything from a standpoint of why not? Why can't we own a G450? Why can't we be number one in the world? Why can't we scale 17 businesses all at the same time? The only reason why we say why is because the fear that other people have put in your head, or the fear that someone else that is not what you are has told you can't do.
Yep.
And that doesn't make any sense to me. And when I started living by that principle, which is a mindset of abundance principle, everything changed. So
Mm.
what I try to do every day is feed that same seed to the people that work around me.
Yeah. So when the people around you are saying you can't do that, or that's not possible, or that limited belief, what's your best strategy to handle that? Are those people out of your life? Do you redirect them? What do you do?
So the best motivation you can ever give me is to tell me I can't do it. I mean, honestly, that's the best motivation. So I'm super, super competitive, like super competitive. Like if I lose in fantasy football, I won't talk to you the next day. Um, I like to find ways to have motivations to be competitive because I'm so competitive. So when people tell me that I can't do something, I'm channeling my energy into doing what they tell me I can't do. So, a few years ago, when we started to look into the property management business, a lot of people told me that was a bad idea and I would never be able to scale it the way that I wanted to, and blah,
Mhm.
blah, 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 blah. And the company that I work for, Long and Foster, the brokerage, we became the largest profit center in the entire company, which is in 9 states. And we were able to do that in like 16 months. And if I would have listened to everybody else, it was going to be a failure. So anytime somebody tells me I can't do it, hopefully you don't compete against me.
So I guess who's going to own the G450 first? You or me?
We just buy it together.
Good answer. Somebody told me the other day I can't have a jet, and I thought, woo, that was the mistake. That's
That's
going to
right.
happen.
Right.
Well, I'm going to make it a business, right? You can own a jet and make it a business. You're not just for me to use. We're going to have a business out of it.
Hey, shout out to Jeff Ducharme. He spent 45 minutes one day and told me how you can own his jet as a business. So that's in the back of my head still.
Hey, I'm going to spend a couple of days with Jeff out in Vegas. He had some tickets to Gwen Stefani, and I took him up on it. So my integrator, his wife, myself, and my husband were all going to Vegas because to me, like the proximity to somebody like you, Brandon, or Jeff, or all these other friends that we have in some of our groups, what price tag can you put on someone's time that has done the things you want to do and can teach you how to do that? And if you're friends with them too, it makes it all the better because you get to have a lot of fun and learn. I mean, I'm such a learning based person. I think it's the educator in me, but I'm always looking to learn more, and that's why I always want to level up and go. Level up's kind of a, I don't know, silly. Maybe you'd make fun. Are you gonna make fun of me after this for that, saying level up? You're so much younger than Brandon.
No, you
Am I
can get
showing
away
my
with it
age
still.
right now?
What's that?
Am I showing my age right now?
No, you can still get away with that.
I can still say level up.
Yeah.
Maybe not hustle. Maybe that's done. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's so important to always be learning based and to always be, that's why, joining your mastermind, being in other groups and being in rooms where people do so much more than you. I just will never stop doing that. And I know you feel the same exact way. And now you're getting to lead that. And that is super cool.
Yeah. And so let me make a point on that, because this is one of the frustrating things I have with our industry too, is people don't want to spend money and invest in themselves to get better. And that's one thing that is just absolutely crazy to me. I just can't wrap my head around it sometimes. It's like, at certain points in my career, I would have spent whatever money I could have spent to get in some of the rooms that it took me a long time to get into. And it didn't matter what the number was. I just wanted to get there. And I just think that in our industry, sometimes we look at the shiny objects and we forget that the best investment is in ourselves. If we're not right internally and we're not consistently growing and getting better, it doesn't matter what we have. It doesn't matter what CRM we have. It doesn't matter what lead system we have. And I think in our industry sometimes, they look at it the wrong way. Like, well, if I spend $300 for this training, what am I going to get in return? It's like, if you get one small thing that you can implement in your business, man, that return could be 6 figures and you spent $300. But if you have that mindset already of what am I getting out of this $300, you already lost.
I hope my teammates are watching this because I always say that to them. I always say, spend the money. If you get one takeaway from any event you go to, whether the event costs $500 or $5,000, one takeaway could be the difference in your business pivoting, changing, some improvement you could make that you would have never known about otherwise.
And I will tell you single-handedly, every major leap that we've made, it was from being in a room where somebody said something where I was like, oh my God, that if we do that, it's over. And just consistently getting around people that are doing those kinds of things and just taking pieces of all of that and like, oh man, and not like, you don't have to take 19, but if you take 3 or 1 and implement that, just how much of a game changer that can be. And I think that is so overlooked in a lot, not just our industry, in a lot of industries, but investing in yourself is the best investment you can make. And just getting one small thing can just completely pivot your business. Mm-hmm. But if you have the wrong mindset, it'll never penetrate.
Well, even just meeting one person,
100%.
If you make an investment and you meet just one person that changes the course of I always say this, like 6 years ago, I was living in my parents' basement, not licensed with a real estate license, pregnant with our little girl. And I guess it's 6.5 years now. So, and I would have never dreamed the life I'm leading today. And that was just a few small encounters that I had in my life that actually, it just completely changed my life. So I think making that investment in yourself is huge.
100%.
Well, gosh, this is a treat. You are so fabulous.
I'm nowhere near as cool as you. I just tried.
That's not true. You saw me pause. I was waiting. No, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, Brandon, or they want to potentially join your coaching program, anything you're doing, or even buy and sell real estate with you, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Facebook. Just find me on Facebook, because then you'll find all my training. You'll find our sales. You'll find everything. You know, we leverage social media heavy, so we're spamming the hell out of everything every day.
I love it. Okay, well, if you want to get more info from Brandon, you will find him on Facebook and all other platforms, I am certain. Oh, are you a TikToker yet, Brandon?
No, I'm not the TikToker.
Do you participate in TikTok?
No.
Man, maybe that should be our next move. TikTok is all it's where it's at.
If you show me, I'll do it. I mean, you just got to show me.
Okay, I'll show you. All right. You know where to find Brandon. If you need me, michellehumes.com is the place to go. And once again, for Michelle Humes Live, this is such a pleasure. We've had to reschedule this 3 times, and I am so glad on this Friday afternoon that we made it happen. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being my friend. You have made an incredible investment in me. I'm so glad we know each other, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. See you guys later.